Hi, and welcome to another edition of Authority Marketing Live. I am Melanie Hirschhorn of VIP Book Marketing. Yes, the name of my company is now VIP Book Marketing because that's what we do. We help nonfiction and children's book authors amplify their authority, make a big impact, and sell more books because that's what you want to do. So today I am so thrilled because I have an amazing business owner who helps other business owners and authors bring their projects to life through sponsorship and collaboration. And her name is Charmaine Hammond. And one really amazing thing that Charmaine does is that she just gets it and how important collaboration is because it's the whole thing about lifting as we rise. So, without further ado, here is Charmaine. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Great to be with you. I love talking about this.
Oh, good, because that's what we're going to talk about. So, how did you get the inspiration to start a company that really focuses on sponsorships and collaborations? Because, there's always that like hustle culture in entrepreneurship and like cutthroat and like rise and grind and like it's nauseating.
That's a great word to describe that. It is frustrating to kind of take that approach to business. And I've been in business now 30 years, almost 30 years. And the business Raise a Dream, we opened up in 2017 to teach people how to build collaboration and sponsorship into their business model. And that all started actually from my first book. On Toby's terms. So everything that I did related to that book, including the launch and the book tours that we did, was all done in collaboration and covered through sponsorship. And then, of course, I had people, authors saying, show me how to do that. And so we did, and we created a business model around that.
That's beautiful. And I know that you're offering a free ebook. So I'm going to put that right here so everybody has it. That when you go to raiseadream.com, you can get a free ebook that to access Charmaine and her partner, right? You have a partner in this business because I mean, it's pretty meta to have a collaborative partner here. The 7-step model to learn to build relationships with sponsors and increase your project revenue through collaboration and partnership. So that is definitely going to be an awesome gift to get, and it's right on the front of the website, so just you can't get lost. It's right there. So tell me really how you help authors. Let's just go in.
So several ways that we work with authors, and I am also an author. So everything that I teach and share with the authors that we work with, I've tried, I've failed at it, succeeded at it. I have a number of books that I've written and contributed to through collaboration books. And the way that we work with authors is through some of our training programs, like our virtual book tour boot camp program or our virtual speaking tour program. And we have a signature program called Your Book is a Business. And that's an 8-module program that actually takes authors through what we consider to be all the vital parts of making your book a business. And you've probably seen this, that authors kind of look at their book as this product over there and they launch it with great excitement. And then they often move on to the next thing, whether that is a new book or whatever that next thing is for them. And the marketing gets left behind. Mm-hmm. And I learned very early on with my first book on Toby's terms that when you stop marketing, the book stops selling for the most part.
And I'm going to even add to that. If you don't start marketing, the book doesn't sell.
That's right. Yes, that's so true. And writing a second book on the failure or struggles of the first book is not the solution. I see this all the time where authors launch a book and maybe it doesn't do well because they didn't even start the marketing, as you said, and they think the solution is to create a second book. And I remember my publisher, when I wanted to launch my first children's book, which was almost 3 years after the book came out. My books are about my dog, Toby. So we launched my memoir on Toby's terms. And then I was just anxious to get that children's book out. And she said, absolutely not. The second book rides on the success of the first book, and you need to build your author brand more than you have before you launch it. This is a new audience for you, and with going from memoirs to children. Sure. And that advice has stuck with me. So putting out a second book when you haven't given that first book all the chances that it needs to come to life is
Yeah.
not a great solution.
I agree. If the cliche of throwing good money after bad
Yeah.
comes to mind where that's
Yes.
concerned. And I love that you talk about your book being a brand, because what I do at VIP Book Marketing is we're helping authors build the online foundation of their marketing, for
Yeah.
their book and their brand. And then they can learn all about collaborations and partnerships and sponsorships
Mhm.
from your company. So it's a beautiful transition.
Yes, very much so.
And so who are some of the authors that you love to work with?
I think working with authors that have a, I'm going to call it a passion or a hunger to make a difference in the world, whatever that looks like for them. And impact making looks different. So we love working with authors that see a vision beyond their book. And some examples of that are we've had authors who have had their book, had it in all different formats, so EPUB and audio as well as print, but then they created wraparound products. Like in one case for children, it was a children's coloring and activity book. Another one actually had it translated into numerous languages. Another one wrote a sort of a self-help book, a how-to book, and created a card deck and a journal. And so this is a great example of making your book a business, because all of those things can then be bundled with your book. So I love working with big thinkers, and sometimes authors have no idea how creative they actually are. They've got this skill set that is just part of who they are, which makes them amazing authors, but they don't see that they can take that same energy and passion and skill and apply it to other products which will support their book.
So let's talk sponsorship
Mhm.
specifically, because I know that that can be so scary. Even just the word, it's like, I'm supposed to approach somebody and ask them to sponsor me. Can you talk a little bit about the process of that and
Do that.
what you teach?
Sponsorship, the best way to understand it is a marketing relationship. So, businesses, brands, big companies, Fortune 500s, they typically set aside marketing dollars. And marketing dollars, of course, could be digital ads, it could be ads in the newspapers, TV spots, and sponsorship. And when we think about sponsorship, it's really about this collaboration that you've built with a business who is supporting you, helping you out through being a sponsor. At the same time, though, you're helping them out achieving some of their marketing goals. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
One of the authors we worked with had a favorite coffee shop where they wrote their book, created their products from, and has spent hours upon hours and dollars upon dollars in that coffee shop. And I said, have you ever explored them being a partner, a sponsor? And they hadn't. And so now they're in conversations with this coffee shop about, first of all, giving them space to do author workshops and to do author signings at the coffee shop, and then providing all their coffee for them. And then also being a marketing partner and carrying their book in the coffee shop. So, I mean, that's a great example. But the person had never thought about that because they know the coffee shop is a place they go and enjoy coffee and scones. They didn't think about that relationship existing in some other way.
So you really help authors sort of reframe
Yes.
their ideas. That's fantastic. Now, when I think sponsorships, I think like a big old company and a little old me, and and how do so it really doesn't have to be on such a grand scale at all.
No, no, that I love your description of how we see these brands as big, and we minimize ourselves. And here's the thing is I've worked with lots of huge brands as a sponsor, but at the local level. So
Mm,
for example, you might have a office supply store or a telecommunications company or a bank that you really want to build a relationship with. Instead of going to the head office, talk locally. And that's what I did. And I've had a number of times where I've developed a partnership, a collaboration at the local level. And they would say things like, we need to get more of our stores involved. And they bring me to the other locations. So I always say, start local, close to home, with who you know and where you spend money. Because these are the great sponsors. Honestly, my first 40 sponsors when my book came out, none of them were strangers. So my hairstylist, who became a bulk, she would buy boxes of my books and she had them for sale in the salon. I'd go in and people are reading my book in the chair. It was super cool.
Did you
And then
autograph them? Did you walk up and go, "That's me. Would you like my
well,
autograph?"
it's funny because at some point I loved listening to the chatter and I thought, I don't know if I want to tell them it's me. I want to keep hearing this conversation, but inevitably somebody who knew me there would say, that's her. So that was a really easy conversation. I didn't have to feel like you had just described this big old sponsor and little old me. They were relationships that I had. My clothing, the clothing store that I bought a lot of my clothing at used to hold, I have to say this slowly because it can come out sounding wrong. So it was a sip, shop, and share event.
Oh,
And
yes,
basically,
that can come out wrong.
you don't want to say that fast. And that was basically, she would hold these events for me probably 2 or 3 times a year. And I would go in and do a little presentation. She would sell copies of my books there. So pretty much everyone who came left with a purchase copy of my book. And she'd sell some clothing while she was there. And those were so fun.
Yeah.
But I knew her. I had a relationship.
That's amazing. These have been such great examples. I love that. Thank you. Because I really was picturing like Fortune 500,
Yes.
little old me. And it's like, it's so daunting and almost like forget about it. It was
Yeah.
hard enough to publish the book. I don't
Totally.
want to bother get sort of more rejection. I don't want to get more rejection.
Mm-hmm. And you know what happens is when you develop these relationships with businesses that you already know or utilize in your community, it starts to build trust for other bigger businesses. So when they see you're already partnering, collaborating with local businesses, then for a bigger sponsor, a cash sponsor, it takes some of the risk away because they're thinking to themselves, they've already got people, businesses that are supporting their book or their book launch or their tour.
That's amazing. So do you have anything exciting coming up that you want to tell us about?
Well, one of the things I love is we've sort of ventured into the space of helping authors look at how do they actually get their book out into the world and in a way that they feel really proud of, but may not have the budget to do. And so we've partnered with the Crowdfunding Hub to actually start delivering workshops and training programs on how authors can do crowdfunding for their book, to turn their book into an audio, to launch their book, to create wraparound products. And it's been really exciting to see what these authors are creating around their book. We just had one launch the other day and it's already off to a great start. And what I love about crowdfunding for authors is, you probably see this in your work too, one of the toughest things for selling a book is having an audience to sell to. And we can keep putting out promotions to our Facebook page and our email list, but once they have the book, they have the book. How do we keep reaching new audiences? And that's where crowdfunding can really help. So I'm excited about us collaborating with the Crowdfunding Hub to help authors be able to do bigger things with their books.
Absolutely. I love that. I have worked with clients to do that. So it is really a rewarding thing to know that and I think it's important to say that the people on the crowdfunding site, they're looking for books.
Absolutely.
It's not like you're pulling off random people from the street. So that's what I love that you're doing that. That's brilliant.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So one last question for you. How'd you get into this other than your book about Toby?
Well, I sat on all 4 sides. Before I opened my business, I sat on all 4 sides of the sponsorship table. I ran a nonprofit and I thought my job was to run the nonprofit. And I quickly found out it was to actually get money for the nonprofit so that I could be there to run the nonprofit. So I had to learn really fast about fundraising. And I fell in love with sponsorship because I'm good at relationships. I love building relationships and being creative. And that was a way to harness both of those skills and bring in money for the nonprofit. From there, I went and actually sat on the complete opposite side of the table, which was as the sponsor and funding decision maker. I took a job in government and I had a portfolio of about 2.5 million a year that I had to provide to local projects and organizations in the form of grants, sponsorship, and government funding. got to see what goes on through the mind of a decision maker. I wish the jobs actually have come in the
Reverse.
opposite order. It would have helped me a lot more in a nonprofit.
Yes, but you got even better at it.
There you go. And then of course, when I opened my business almost 30 years ago, I thought I'm going to blend that experience into how I run my business. So pretty much everything I did from the very beginning was built on the premise of collaboration and sponsorship, and then now we teach people how to do that.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. And it's so interesting how, you're kind of thrown in, you got to swim.
Yes.
You're in the deep end, you got to swim.
That's right.
And another thing is that even though you might not have known that you were going to start this amazingly successful company about sponsorships and collaborations, you were really in training.
Yes.
And everything we do, we always come back to it. I mean, I have a very similar story. I started in PR, then I got a master's in journalism. Then I opened my own manufacturing design company for clothing. And now here I am doing book marketing because I've seen it
right
on all the sides.
Yes.
So I respect that and I love that. And we got to get more people to learn about what you are doing. And so go to raiseadream.com, and while you're there, you can learn about all the programs that Charmaine has, and you can get that free ebook, which is accessing their 7-step model to learn to build relationships with sponsors and increase your project revenue, your collaboration and partnership. And, I talk about relationship marketing because you're not talking at people, you're talking with people.
Yes.
And that is exactly what you are doing as well.
Yes. Yes. It's so true. Talk with them, not at them or through them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your
time
today. Okay, everybody, check this out. All right. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.